So there's this local strength coach who told my athletes that the Hex Bar Deadlift is cheating, that it's a waste, and it doesn't translate directly into the conventional deadlift. That's when I just prove things by having my athletes do them, or in this case, my daughter, and I just point to the scoreboard and say, good job, smooth brain. Boom! Boom! What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, CEO, MTS Nutrition, Chief Marketing Officer, tigerfitness.com, Exos trainer, and owner of Legacy at Carbon in Franklin, Tennessee, as well as a high school strength coach, if I didn't already say that, and IFBB Pro. Let's talk about the Hex Bar Deadlift being superior to the conventional deadlift for strength athletes. Now, what are we trying to accomplish when we have athletes deadlift? It's a pretty simple equation. Number one is, what are you doing when you're running? You're generating force onto the ground. So we're generating force onto the ground. That's how you increase speed. Number two is we're providing load onto the posterior chain, which will, of course, help to generate force, okay? Also, it mimics a lot of things. If you're a wrestler, you pick people up, right? Well, I mean, if you're picking things up from the ground, then a deadlift makes sense, correct? Okay. What else are we doing? Well, athletes who get injury, generally ACL injuries come from valgus. A lot of non-contact ACL come from valgus. That's the knee caving in. So what better way to prevent valgus is to prevent your legs from caving in while holding loads. Heavy loads, 300, 400 pound loads, while not letting your knees cave in, and also lifting that load without valgus, recruiting your glutes, recruiting your adductors, abductors, all those different muscles. So here's a story. A local coach was telling my athletes that what I do in the gym, well, not mentioning me directly, but that what we do in the gym is a waste, because the Hex Bar Deadlift is a pointless exercise because Marc Rippetoe said so. Not going to throw any shade at Marc Rippetoe, but he ain't training athletes. Like, I don't know what he does. I know he has starting strength, a lot of programs that people love, but what I do is I take athletes, I make them stronger, I make them faster, I make them more powerful, and my track record for preventing injuries is unparalleled. 1 year at a soccer club, when I took over at Campton United in St. Charles, Illinois, we went from 11 non-contact ACLs, 11 on the older girls soccer teams, 13 to 18 and 19, 11. Had them for 6 months, went into the season. The next season, we had zero non-contact ACL. Look, man, I don't care if the list makes you stronger, faster, better. It does. But let's say it doesn't. You can't play if you're injured. And nothing makes me more angry than when careers and seasons are ended due to preventable injuries. So what I do is I prevent injury. And obviously the Hex Bar Deadlift isn't all I do, but it's a lot of what I do. It contributes a lot to what I do. So put this into practice. My daughter, Cammie, she's gotten, I believe, 375 pounds on the Hex Bar Deadlift. We have not conventional deadlifted in probably 2 years. Now, when we did it before, I believe she got 135 pounds for 50-something reps. Yes, that was at 12 years old, right? 13 years old. At an event, at a charity event we did. And my daughter did an exhibition at this powerlifting event. So my daughter does a powerlifting event, crushes every Tennessee state record, squat, deadlift, bench, overall. 16-year-old girl, 148-pound weight class, okay? Now, she did train with the conventional deadlift going into this, but my daughter, no straps, and we use straps because I'm not really worried about soccer players' grip strength. No straps, no belt, just a singlet. pulls 303 pounds at a powerlifting competition. We're doing another one July 15th. We've been doing more conventional. I bet you she pulls over 320. What does that tell you? Well, it tells you my daughter's a badass. I agree. But it also tells you that not only is the Hex Bar Deadlift a superior athletic lift, but it also translates directly into the conventional deadlift. Now, here's why the Hex Bar is superior. When you do a conventional deadlift, Robert Oberst said this. When you do, and he got hate for saying that people shouldn't deadlift. I agree with him. The only time I want people to straight bar deadlift is if they're getting ready for a powerlifting meet, or if they're trying to better they're trying to learn how to snatch or do another Olympic lift where the first part is the deadlift. You're lifting the bar off the ground. So you're cocked forward. Your body is pitched forward. You're holding onto a bar. If you're using an over-under grip, you're putting your bicep in a very vulnerable position, that bicep tendon. My brother was a Hex Bar deadlifter, did a powerlifting meet, never straight barred. 600, hits a 600-pound deadlift, tore his bicep on 650. My brother never deadlifted with a straight bar, ever. And he pulled it. He pulled it. At 46 years old, he pulled it. But because that vulnerable position that he was in with the over-under grip tore his bicep. So not only are you not putting your arm in an under position when you're not strapped, which is susceptible to tearing your bicep. I've seen multiple. I've never seen anybody tear their bicep on a Hex Bar, because your body being like this in a neutral grip versus under is a much more favorable position and safer position for that biceps tendon. Okay, another thing is the reason you can lift more weight is because you're in a better leverage position. You have a neutral grip with your hands right next to your feet, rather than your hands being out over your feet with you pulling back, right? You're pulling back rather than pulling up. So with the Hex Bar deadlift, I'm able to load directly on your posterior chain without increasing the strain on your lower back. I'm also able to have cues that will keep you with better form. I can teach a student who's never done any athletic activity before, simply by preventing valgus and telling them to keep their chest out. I can perfect a Hex Bar deadlift in 2 to 3 sets. Whereas perfecting a regular deadlift might take 2 to 3 months. The Hex Bar deadlift is the greatest form of the deadlift to teach athletes. I also believe that everybody, men, women, children, you name it, of all ages, as soon as a child is old enough to mentally and physically take in information and perform the movement, you are never too young to load the posterior chain with the Hex Bar deadlift. You are never too old to load the posterior chain with the Hex Bar deadlift. You want to get faster? The science points to the Hex Bar deadlift being the best lift for it. Nike's research with Flaherty have shown that the Hex Bar deadlift is the one lift that we know will increase or will make your 40-yard dash time better. If you're interested in being faster, in being stronger, and maybe even being bigger because you are lifting weights, the Hex Bar deadlift is there. Also, if you don't want to get sore, the Hex Bar deadlift is perfect for you. You get sore due to the eccentric part of the lift. If you're just going for strength and power and you want to be able to perform on the field the next day, lift the weight up, drop it down. Lift the weight up, drop it down. That's why they made bumper plates, kids. The Hex Bar deadlift will not only allow you to recover faster because you don't have to do the eccentric part of the lift. I can say the same thing about the deadlift. If you want to drop the bar, that's fine. But the Hex Bar deadlift will do it in a very safe manner. I have yet to have a kid get injured on the Hex Bar deadlift. Yet, as I said, my brother, my very own bigger brother, tore his bicep doing an over-under conventional deadlift. My daughter will keep conventional deadlifting. Why? Because breaking records are cool. And she's able to train with her Hex Bar deadlift. Also, bicep tears, tendon injuries, pec tears, those are mainly going to affect the male population. It's just the way our joints are. It's the way our bicep tendon is. I know it's unfair, but hey, we pee standing up, it's even, okay? We also don't bleed every month for our entire life and somehow not die. I think we're even there. Bottom line is, everyone should do the Hex Bar Deadlift. If you have any questions about the Hex Bar Deadlift, simply type in Hex Bar Deadlift and my name on YouTube, and I have a ton of videos explaining how to do them. I'm a huge fan of that. Also, if you're in the Franklin, Tennessee area, Legacy at Carbon is where we train athletes, okay? Legacy@carbon.com. That's legacy@carbon.com. I am there alongside my colleague, Bryce Beal, and we are making athletes into champions. We are making champions into world champions. We are making high school players into D1 athletes. We are making D1 athletes professionals or just standouts. And that's besides the point. Forget about that. What we're doing is we're preventing injuries. The Hex Bar Deadlift is the most rehabilitative and prehabilitative movement in the gym. And if you disagree with me on that, you could catch me outside. How about that? Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, click on the notification bell. Let me know your thoughts. And if you are in the Kingsport area on July 15th, my daughter will be competing alongside my son, Thomas. Cammie will be breaking her existing records, and Thomas plans on breaking some records of his own USPA event out there in Kingsport, Tennessee. Thank you so much for watching. Again, legacy@carbon.com. I'm Marc Lobliner. That's not a game.
Training intensity is everything. If you want to build muscle, if you want to get better, if you want to go hard, you need to train intense. A lot of pre-workouts, they get you intense. But then what happens? You crash. A lot of pre-workouts, they give you the pump, but then what happens? It wears off. A lot of pre-workouts, they'll give you all that stuff, but it doesn't add to your endurance. I want to be able to lift heavy. I want to be able to feel the pump. I want veins bulging from every single part of my body. I want to lift heavier weights every single time. I want to run farther. I want to run faster. I want to push harder, and I want to get bigger, stronger, and faster. And that's why I created Clash 3D. This pre-workout is next level, featuring 3D pump, Vasodrive AP, and a lot of other epic ingredients. Guys, this is the pre-workout that you need to take your workouts and your performance and your physique to the next level.